You're busy every day and somehow nothing really changes, right? You cross things off, you collapse into bed, and the big parts of your life look exactly the same 3 months later. That sinking feeling isn't laziness. It's something more uncomfortable. You're working hard inside a map that never updates. I want to sit with that for a second because it's not an attack. Most of us were trained to fix stagnation by adding hours, adding tasks, adding pressure, but the brain doesn't reward more movement. It rewards better models. We repeat what reduces uncertainty, and anything familiar feels like certainty, even if it's wrong. So we stay busy, and busyness becomes anesthesia. It numbs the worry that our effort isn't moving anything that matters. Think about a week you'd call productive. You answered emails faster. You handled crises without dropping the ball. Maybe you even hit the gym or stayed off your phone a bit. Now ask yourself, what did you actually learn that changed how you will act next week? Not what you did. What you didn't grow, you execute. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The thing holding you back isn't your willingness to grind. It's the edge of your understanding. You are optimizing within the boundaries of a mental model you haven't challenged in a long time. Your choices, your habits, even your emotions flow from that model. You don't see options outside it because your attention filters out what doesn't fit. That's not a flaw. It's how the brain saves energy. We are cognitive misers. We compress experience into patterns so we can act quickly, and it works until the territory changes and the pattern stops fitting. Then repeating the pattern feels like discipline. But it's actually avoidance. We're avoiding the raw feeling of, I don't know. You can see this in relationships. You have the same argument the same way, and you're very efficient at it. You anticipate the lines. You prepare the defense. You win the moment and lose the month. On paper, you did a lot. You talked, you reasoned, you insisted. But your model of each other didn't update, so nothing changed. Or think about your career. You're the reliable one, the person who says yes. The person who keeps the machine running. You're needed. That feels like value. But being needed and being useful are different. You're producing output inside a fixed box. Ask yourself, what would break if you stopped doing it? If the honest answer is someone will be annoyed, but nothing deep would change, then your effort is a ritual, not a lever. Here's a shift that can feel like heresy. Distraction isn't always the thief of growth competence can be. When you're good at a loop, you stay in it because it feels like mastery. But a loop you've mastered without updating the strategy underneath becomes a glass ceiling. Another one, motivation isn't what's missing. Clarity is. When the model is clear, action feels almost inevitable. Ambiguity drains energy. Because your brain is still guessing what matters. Cognitive upgrade sounds fancy, but it's simple. It means improving the map you use to make choices. It's not just gaining facts. It's changing how those facts relate. We upgrade cognition when we expose our assumptions to reality, and change them when they fail. Psychologically, that depends on two things: noticing prediction errors and tolerating the discomfort of being wrong long enough to learn. Our brains are prediction machines. They love confirming data. It's cheap. Disconfirming data is expensive. It demands attention and effort. That's why we unconsciously arrange our days to minimize surprises. We read the same sources, talk to the same people, do the same tasks. Low surprises mean low updates. It feels smooth, and it keeps us stuck. So why do most people fail to upgrade? First, schedule and incentives. If your day punishes reflection, rewards responsiveness, you will default to action over learning. Second, identity. I'm the kind of person who always delivers. I'm the organized one. I'm the rational one. These are useful shortcuts until they become cages. You start protecting the identity instead of improving the model. Third, social homeostasis. Your environment likes you as you are. If you update your model, you might challenge norms that keep the group comfortable. It's no accident that your smartest thought appears in the shower. Away from the feedback loops that shape you, let me ask you something that might sting. If this exact week repeated 52 times, who would you become? Not how much you'd accomplish, who you would become. Would your capacity change? Would your perspective deepen? Or would you just be a faster version of the same person? Here's another. What belief would have to be false for the change you want to be obvious? If you pinpoint that belief, you've located the edge of your map. There's a difference between high effort and high quality effort. High effort is hours. Sweat, inbox zero. High quality effort changes your future decisions. It yields a principle, a pattern you didn't see before, or a system you can use again. If you look back at a task and you can't state what improved in your map, it was maintenance. Maintenance is fine. It's just not growth. The tragedy is we pile maintenance so high that we call it a life and wonder why we feel flat. How do you know where you're stuck? One way is to review friction. Where do you keep pushing and get the same result? Map those moments. Another is to look for repetition in your decisions. If you're deciding the same thing repeatedly with slightly different words, the problem isn't choices, it's the frame. Or run a simple test. Name the top 3 constraints you believe limit you. Now ask, what evidence would convince me I'm wrong about each? If you can't find a test, your belief is unfalsifiable, which means it can't update. And if you can find a test, but you never run it, you're choosing certainty over growth. Pay attention to the metrics you use. Most default metrics reward activity because they're visible. Hours worked, tasks completed. Messages sent, useful for management, useless for development. Better metrics ask, how many hypotheses did I test this week? What variable did I change? What did I stop doing and what happened? What did I automate or redesign so future me has fewer decisions? If you don't track change in, the brain learns through zones. There's a performance zone where you deploy what you know, and a learning zone where you stretch. We spend most of our lives in performance because it's less risky and more impressive. Upgrading cognition means designing time in the learning zone on purpose. That can be as small as blocking 15 minutes at the end of the day to write. What surprised me? What worked for reasons I didn't predict? What failed for reasons I didn't predict? What failed for reasons I didn't predict? What will I try differently tomorrow? That's it. The consistency matters more than the lean vein. There's also the pattern of overcomplication. When we do try to change, we try to overhaul everything in a weekend. We read 5 books, sign up for 3 courses, change our morning routine, and 2 weeks later, we're back where we started. Now with guilt. Upgrading cognition, a living document, then in small, frequent updates beat rare, dramatic ones. The brain likes to protect its existing patterns. Gradual experiments slide under the defenses. So, what's the smallest change with the highest leverage? Start by upgrading the questions you ask yourself before you commit to a task. Neither is bad. You just need to know which you're choosing. When you feel resistance, ask, am I avoiding discomfort or risk? Discomfort you can learn through. Risk you can often shrink with a small experiment. When you're overwhelmed, ask, what am I optimizing for? Many of us optimize for being perceived as reliable, available, agreeable. Those are social currencies, not necessarily growth. Another tiny move, add a default pause. Don't say yes in the moment. Say, I'll get back to you this afternoon. That conscious choice. Or schedule what I call map time, 2% of your week. That's 20 minutes a day, or 2 hours a week where you don't do tasks. You update your model. You review decisions, capture patterns, write down assumptions, and design one small test. If you do nothing else, do this. The returns count of every. Talk to one person outside your echo chamber each week. Not a debate. Ask them how they think about a problem you care about. The goal isn't to adopt their map, it's to notice that yours is just one of many. That alone loosens the grip of certainty, or read one source you normally wouldn't. If this will, you'll feel your identity twitch. That's a good sign. Design kill criteria for projects. Decide in advance what would tell you to stop. Otherwise, sunk cost will keep you applying more effort to a dead end, and you'll call it perseverance. This isn't about quitting quickly. It's about giving your future self permission signal. Growth isn't only additive. Remove one obligation that no longer teaches you anything. If it makes you nervous, you're probably close to a meaningful subtraction. Watch what happens to your attention. Notice that space isn't laziness. It's where integration happens. Rest the place, it's new patterns. That's another reversal worth keeping. In relationships, upgrade your question from how do I say this better? 2. What am I not understanding about how they make sense of this? That switch takes you from persuasion to curiosity. Even if nothing else changes, you will stop rehearsing and start listening. Your options, AT. In your work, upgrade from counting tasks to tracking competencies. If emails and meetings make you feel alive because you're needed, ask, what could be automated, delegated, or redesigned? So my attention goes to decisions that only I can make. You might fear that if you make yourself less necessary, the opposite is true. Value moves toward people who improve systems, not just sustain them. In your habits, upgrade the unit of chain from goals to experiments. Don't decide to write every day forever. Run a 7-day test with a specific hypothesis. If I write for 20 minutes, ID will drop by noon. Your brain will respect data more than discipline. If the test fails, you're not a failure. You've upgraded your model of what actually works for you. There's a softer piece to this too. Some of us stay busy because stillness would surface grief, fear, or the question of whether we're building a life we even. Upgrading cognition doesn't mean thinking more. It means allowing more of your reality into view. Sometimes the most honest upgrade is admitting a value has changed. What if your definition of success is outdated? What if the path you're on fits a past version of you perfectly? I'm not asking you to blow up your life. I'm just worried. The exit isn't deeper inside the same corridors, it's above them. And that view comes from small, deliberate shifts. A pause before yes, a question before action, a test before commitment, a conversation with someone who doesn't think like you. 20 minutes with your own mind on paper. But what's that? That impulse is the old model grasping for speed. Speed is great on a straight road. It multiplies errors in a wrong direction. Most of the time, the answer is not to press harder on the gas. It's to ask whether you're on the right road. So tonight, when your head hits the pillow, don't count how many things you did. If the answer is nothing, it's not a failure. It's a cue for tomorrow's 20 minutes. And if you try this for a few weeks, you'll notice something quiet but real. The same effort will start to move bigger things. Not because you became a machine, but because your map got a little more honest. I'm curious where you suspect you're moving. What's the smallest test you're willing to run this week to find out? Share it in the comments. You might give someone else the nudge they need. If this helped you see something differently, a like helps the video reach more people. And if you want more of these deeper dives, consider subscribing. Take care of your attention. It's building the world you live.